Hope you've got a little time, and maybe a snack, because this story's a long one. It stretches from late 2019 all the way up to last week. I've changed all the names to keep things anonymous, but every detail is real. Here's the backstory. My soon-to-be ex-wife, Jenna, was my high school sweetheart. We started dating back in 1992 when we were both 17, and at 45, we were still together, up until recently. She's the only woman I've ever been with. We got married at 22, right after graduating college, and a year later we welcomed the first of our 2 boys. Now they're 22 and 17. I spent 23 years building a life with her. Built us a house, worked my ass off to give her the kind of life she said she wanted. Sure, like any couple, we had our rough patches, but we always pulled through. That's why her affair hit me like a freight train. Let's rewind to March 2020, when I first started feeling like something wasn't right. We'd been in a bit of a rut for a couple of months. I was still recovering from ACL surgery after blowing my knee out in the fall of 2019. My mobility was limited, maybe 55% range of motion on a good day. It affected a lot, my mood, my energy, even basic things around the house. I was on workers' comp because the injury happened on the job, which meant I couldn't keep up with a lot of the household chores. The stuff only I normally handled just kept piling up. My sons helped when they could, but some tasks either had to wait or Jenna had to take care of them, and she was clearly not thrilled about that. Our sex life had already slowed down before my injury, but during my recovery, it stopped completely. At the same time, Jenna started spending more time out with her coworkers after work. From November 2019 through March 2020, it became routine. At first, I didn't think much of it. After all, we'd had 23 years of trust built between us. We each had our own friends, plus mutual ones. I used to go out with my buddies all the time, never a problem. Everything always seemed above board. But around January, something shifted. Jenna started acting distant. I know we were in a slump, but she'd never completely shut down affection before. No more hugs? No kisses. Nothing. Her phone, which used to be practically glued to her hand, suddenly became off limits. She got cagey whenever I got near it. And her tone with me? Short. Like I was just bothering her. Fast forward to March. COVID hits, and the whole city goes into lockdown. We're both considered essential workers, so no working from home for us. I'd just been cleared to return to work after 5 long months off, and I was ready. Being laid up had been driving me crazy. I'm a physical guy. I've practiced martial arts for years, hit the gym 4 times a week, and usually always had a house project going on. Within a week or 2 of lockdown, Jenna tells me she's gotta start working overtime. Again, I don't think much of it. Her field sometimes demands that. I figured it'd be every other day, an hour or 2 at most. Wrong. It was every day. And not just an extra hour, she'd come home 3, sometimes 4 hours late. Straight to the shower, barely said hi to me or our youngest son, our older one lives across town with his girlfriend, and then straight to bed. Once I got more stable on my knee, we started sleeping together again. But something was off. She wasn't there, not really. Not mentally, not emotionally. I noticed it right away. By early April, it hit me. Jenna was probably having an affair. The signs were all there. I started looking up common behaviors of someone cheating, and she was checking almost every box. Then I moved on to finding proof. I started with her social media. Her Facebook looked normal enough. Pictures of us, the boys, her friends, and plenty of her out with coworkers. In those group pics, there were some familiar faces, people I'd met over the years, but also a couple I didn't recognize. And one guy showed up in photo after photo. Always right next to her. Arm around her shoulder, hand on her lower back. Way too close for comfort, especially for someone I'd never even met. That alone set off alarms in my head. But then it got worse. Turns out, this guy is friends with her on Facebook. Follows her on Instagram too. So I go to check out his profile. And I'm blocked. Why the hell would some random guy I've never met have me blocked on Facebook, but be all over my wife's profile? That's when something inside me flipped. I wasn't in denial anymore. I was officially in detective mode. I knew for sure Jenna was cheating on me with that guy. The only question left was how long it had been going on. So throughout April and May, that became my mission, to figure out the timeline. And you know, I had no idea how much information you could actually dig up from phone logs, text records, and email metadata until I went looking. We've been on a family cell phone plan for years, and once I started digging into the account, a whole lot came to light. Between October 2019 and April 2020, the two numbers my soon-to-be ex-wife contacted the most were mine, and one I didn't recognize. You can guess whose number it was. A quick search on Google confirmed it. It belonged to that same guy from the photos. Let's just call him Travis, for what he is. At that point, everything started coming together. But here's the thing, most of the messages between them were either partial or missing altogether. Jenna was deleting chunks of their conversations, probably trying to cover her tracks. I knew she was cheating, but there was still no smoking gun, nothing I could point to as undeniable proof. That's when I decided to loop in my best friend, Tyler. I told him everything I'd uncovered so far. He asked if I'd confronted Jenna yet, but I told him no, I didn't feel like I had enough. That's when Tyler mentioned a certain app one could install. I won't name it here, but let's just say it let me see her texts and messages in real time once I synced it with our data plan. Within a few days, I hit gold. I saw a string of texts between her and Travis talking about how much fun they had the night before and making plans to meet up again that weekend. It hit me like a freight train. That was it. That was my D-Day. For 2 straight days afterward, I was a wreck. Absolutely broken. I couldn't even look at her. Jenna noticed I was pulling away and kept asking what was wrong, trying to act all concerned, but I just brushed her off and left the room every time. I didn't want to be anywhere near her. This was the woman I'd spent 23 years with. The woman I gave everything to, my heart, my time, my loyalty. And now she was sneaking around with some guy just 5 years older than our oldest son? By the 3rd day, the sadness was gone. It turned to pure rage. I called Tyler to let him know my suspicions had been confirmed. He asked again if I was going to confront her, and I said no. Not yet. I wanted more than just a divorce. I wanted her to feel the pain, the humiliation. I wanted to shake the very foundation of her life. That's when I remembered something I'd read while researching infidelity. Unpredictability is the enemy of the cheater. That became my guiding principle. I was going to make her question everything while I quietly planned my escape. As June rolled around, I kept the app running in the background, saving everything. Their messages were what you'd expect: lovey-dovey crap, steamy texts, inside jokes, even explicit photos. At some point, I stopped actively reading them. I just stored everything on a secure private server I had set up for my files. Meanwhile, I started acting differently. I'd leave the house at weird hours and come back later than her. If she asked what I was up to, I'd just shrug and say, "Stuff," then put my phone away. I also changed all my passwords and locked down my phone. She noticed, of course, because for over 2 decades, we'd always been open books to each other. But not anymore. Funny thing is, around the time I now believe her affair began, Jenna did the exact same thing, changed her Facebook login, locked her phone, blamed it on security issues. Classic. I filled in my sister, Megan, along with 2 close friends, Joey and Naomi. They'd all known Jenna forever, and I made them swear to keep everything under wraps. Naomi especially would become important later. By July, Jenna's paranoia was in full swing. She started blowing up my phone with texts and calls, asking where I was, what I was doing, why I was being so distant. She was spinning. And in her text to Travis, she started voicing those same fears, telling him I was acting strange, that she was starting to worry I might be cheating on her. The irony? She was sneaking around with this guy for months, and now she's losing her mind at the thought that I might be doing the same. At one point, she even told him they should stop meeting at our house. Let that sink in. Travis had been in my house. That stung. A lot. And then came the cherry on top. In one of their exchanges, Travis straight up asked her if she was worried that I might be cheating on her. She got angry, really angry. Reading that text made me laugh out loud. I'm serious. Here's my wife, who's cheating on me, getting upset at her side piece for even suggesting I might be cheating on her. You can't make this stuff up. And just to be clear, no, I wasn't seeing anyone else. I was too focused on collecting evidence and planning her downfall. Most nights when I left the house, I'd either be hanging out at Tyler's place or over at Joey's, having a few drinks, watching fights, just decompressing with the guys. Other times, I'd stop by my big sister's house. She's 52, her husband's 58, and honestly, he's like an older brother to me. My sister knew everything about Jenna's affair, though I kept my full plan to myself. Her husband's a great guy but can't keep a secret to save his life. By the time October rolled around, things really started heating up. I'd been quietly running my operation for about 3 months by then. Jenna could definitely tell something was off. I was emotionally checked out from the moment I started this plan, all the way up to October 20th, 2020. Until then, there'd been zero physical contact between us, no hugs, no kisses, no intimacy at all. Not that she seemed to mind. She kept her little affair with Travis going, either at his place or random motels. She didn't need me for anything. Then one afternoon, she did something unusual, called me at work. That hadn't happened in months. She asked if I could come straight home after my shift because she had something important to talk about. I'll be honest, part of me hoped she was finally going to come clean. Of course, she didn't. When I got home, instead of a confession, she hit me with, "Are you unhappy with me?" The nerve of this woman. She went on about how I'd been distant lately, that I was barely home, that our sex life was dead. She even tried to suggest that maybe I was holding a grudge because of how she treated me during my knee rehab. And then, this is the punchline, she asked if I was cheating on her. I couldn't help it. I collapsed on the floor laughing, like full-blown Joker laughing. Uncontrollable, gut-busting, can't catch my breath kind of laughter. To her, it probably looked like I was dismissing the idea. But inside I was just floored by the pure, twisted irony of it all. After a solid 2 minutes of losing it, I finally pulled myself together. I sat up, looked her in the eyes, probably for the first time in months, shook my head, stood up, kissed the top of her head, and went about my night like nothing happened. Later that evening, I headed into my home office and checked the app. Sure enough, she was texting Travis in real time. She told him she thought he was cheating on her. That she confronted me and I laughed in her face. That it felt like I didn't care anymore, like I was already gone. She told him it felt like karma, that she was losing me. I couldn't help but grin. I must have looked like the damn Cheshire Cat. She was unraveling. Travis tried to reassure her, telling her if I'd really cared, she wouldn't have needed to come to him for comfort. But her replies were short, hesitant. You could see the doubt creeping in. The woman who had been sneaking around behind my back for a year was suddenly scared of losing me. What a joke. At the same time, I was executing phase 2 of my plan, getting my finances in order. Back in September, I'd met with a family attorney to get the ball rolling on divorce. Armed with all the evidence I'd collected, and considering New York is an at-fault divorce state, I had a pretty strong case lined up. My lawyer told me to get my financial ducks in a row, so I did. I discreetly emptied our joint account and moved everything into a personal one. Started looking for apartments. Everything was done under the radar. No red flags. By November, I was deep into the act, pushing my behavior further to keep her guessing. That's where Naomi comes in. Quick background, Naomi and Jenna have never liked each other. I met Naomi 2 years before I met Jenna, back in my freshman year of high school. From the jump, Jenna saw Naomi as a threat, my closest female friend. And yeah, it showed. She was always jealous, even though Naomi never crossed any lines. Thing is, Jenna never really had guy friends, except Travis. But I never made a fuss about her circle. Naomi, on the other hand, always saw right through Jenna. Early on, she warned me that Jenna was edging into our friend group, trying to dominate it while I never did that to hers. Naomi called it for what it was, possessiveness. Anyway, Naomi had been stuck overseas during the pandemic and finally returned to NYC on November 3rd. To celebrate, Tyler, Joey, and I threw a small get-together at Joey's place. Nothing big, just dinner and drinks, all CDC compliant. That's when Naomi, the genius that she is, came up with an idea. Why not mess with Jenna's head? She suggested we take photos mimicking the ones I found of Jenna and Travis, cozy, flirty poses, and post them on my Facebook. So we did exactly that. By November 5th, Jenna had already caught wind of it. Friends saw the photos and commented on how close Naomi and I looked. The confusion on Jenna's face? Priceless. And she still believed. Jenna genuinely thought I was cheating on her. And honestly, if she hadn't known Naomi had been stuck overseas for most of the year, she probably would have come right out and accused her. Still, that didn't stop her from trying to call me out that night for getting a little too close in those photos with Naomi. I saw it as the perfect setup to throw the first jab of my final blow. I casually brought up the pictures of her and Travis from the year before, the ones where he had his arm around her or was touching her lower back. I pointed out how he looked pretty handsy, too. And funny enough, I never made a big deal about it at the time. That hit her like a brick. She froze, eyes wide like a deer caught in headlights. It was the first time I'd ever mentioned Travis by name. Up to that point, she had no idea I'd even seen those pictures. I barely ever used Facebook, so she assumed I'd never look. And that's what made the photos with Naomi so effective. People in our circles noticed. They talked. It became a thing. Jenna scrambled to explain those old photos, said Travis is just like that with everyone. A super friendly guy. She admitted she could see how it might look, and if the pictures upset me, she was sorry. Even offered to delete them. But it wasn't the damn photos that hurt me. It was the fact that she had been sleeping with the guy while lying to my face, telling me she was working late or out with friends. As Lieutenant Worf once said, "Revenge is a dish best served cold." And cold it was. From that night forward, Jenna switched into full panic mode. Suddenly she was all over me, clingy, affectionate, trying to initiate sex, constantly hovering. It was suffocating. And I stonewalled her every single time. Meanwhile, I kept pulling every text, every message she sent to Travis. I didn't even feel anything anymore. My heart had gone numb a long time ago. Whatever part of me wanted to salvage our marriage had died the day I put my plan into motion. She started telling Travis that I'd gotten worse. That she felt like I hated her. She was right. I did. Then came the twist. Her guilt caught up with her. She told him she couldn't see him anymore. Said the guilt was eating her alive. That karma was coming down hard. That she couldn't lose me. Even though she claimed to love Travis, she said she was still in love with me and had to try to fix our marriage. Too late for that, sweetheart. You're about 8 months past that deadline. Travis didn't take it well. He blew up, pouring out his feelings, telling her she was making a huge mistake. That was the last exchange between them, until about 3 weeks ago. Through the rest of November and into December, Jenna was stuck in limbo. She didn't know what to make of me. I was still acting distant, still unpredictable. And she was completely unsure whether or not I'd been unfaithful. Travis kept texting her every day, but she never replied. I watched her check her phone, hesitate, and then lock the screen. Over and over. Meanwhile, I was wrapping up phase 2 of my plan. The divorce papers were finalized. I signed a 2-year lease on a studio apartment out in Co-op City. And I moved every cent of my money into a personal account. Now I was ready for the haymaker. Thanksgiving rolled around, and my oldest and his girlfriend hosted a small dinner, just our immediate family. Her parents were there too. She's studying to be a chef, and she cooked everything from scratch. It was amazing. To keep up appearances, I played the loving husband. I kissed Jenna on the cheek, gave her warm hugs, wrapped my arms around her when we stood next to each other. She melted into it like nothing had ever happened. She hadn't been touched like that in 2 months, ever since I kissed her on the head the night she confronted me in October. I won't lie. It made my skin crawl. But I had to do it. If I acted cold or distant in front of my sons, or her girlfriend's parents, they'd know something was wrong. And I couldn't risk that. Our youngest ended up staying over at his brother's that night, so it was just me and Jenna heading home. On the drive, she thanked me for being so good to her and said, "I don't know what you're going through, baby, but I'm here for you." I almost burst into another fit of maniacal laughter. Instead, I just said, "I know. I just need some time." Later that night, for the first time since spring, we were intimate. I figured, why not? With what I was about to do, I might as well take the last lap before cutting her loose. It wasn't tender. It wasn't love. It was just mechanical. When it was over, she just laid there, dazed, like she'd been hit by a truck. I didn't say a word. No cuddling. No pillow talk. I got up, took a shower, and went to sleep in my office. She had no idea what was coming next. I used protection. First time in 20 years. She definitely noticed, looked surprised, maybe even confused, but she didn't say a word. And I sure as hell wasn't going to go raw with her, not after knowing she'd been sleeping with Travis unprotected for months. The next morning, I woke up and, out of habit, checked the app one more time. For the first time in weeks, Jenna had responded to him. And man, Travis went full soap opera mode, pouring his heart out like he was in some dramatic love scene. He said she was wasting her time trying to revive something in me that was long dead. Told her she deserved to be with someone who actually cherished her. She responded by saying she'd felt like a prisoner with me for 23 years. That she deserved affection, attention, and real love. Mind you, this guy is 27, just 5 years older than our oldest son. And he's wrapped up in a married 45-year-old mother of 2. A real catch, huh? She decided to blow up our marriage and tear down the home we built for this guy. A baby-faced dude with a soft streak and 0 long-term prospects? She doubled down on her earlier message, told him she did love him, and she cherished the time they shared. But she couldn't risk losing me. Said I was still the love of her life, and that while Travis would always have a place in her heart, the physical relationship was over. If he wanted, they could remain friends. Of course, he begged her to meet up, just once more. One last time. And naturally, she said yes. One more for the road, right? I didn't even flinch. Hell, that's exactly what I'd done to her the night before. And of course, I saved it all, every message, every word, added to the archive. December 4th was the launch of Phase 3, Operation Chobe Ghost. Divorce papers? Ready. Apartment? Set up. Now all I had to do was start moving out, quietly. But first, I had to talk to my sons. I called my oldest over that Friday night. Had both of them sit down with me in my home office, and I laid it all out. I didn't go into gritty details, but I told them the truth, that their mom had been cheating on me for over a year, and I was filing for divorce. My 17-year-old took it the hardest. Just 4 months earlier, he'd been cheated on by his first girlfriend. And now to hear that his own mother had done the same to his dad? It broke him. My oldest was steadier. He offered to take his little brother in for a while, said they could stay at his apartment until the dust settled. I agreed immediately. We packed up some of his stuff, and before they left, he looked at me and asked if I was going to be okay. I told him yes. That we'd all be okay. The hardest part was over. Now it was time to hit the button. Over the next few weeks, Tyler helped me quietly move out anything valuable or sensitive. I gave him a list of what to grab, things Jenna wouldn't notice were missing right away, and left him a spare key. While she and I were at work, he He was doing surgical removals piece by piece. I also got a new phone and a new number. Sent it out to everyone who mattered: Tyler, Joey, Naomi, my boys, my sister, my mom. Everyone else? Left in the dark. All the while, I kept up the charade with Jenna. I sprinkled in just enough affection to keep her guessing. She was still texting Travis occasionally, not like before, but the emotional connection hadn't died. She was still fogged up, just slightly. Meanwhile, I gathered everything. Every call log. Every text. Every email. Every photo. All the dirt I'd collected since day one of this operation. I spent over $1,500 at Staples: printer ink, paper, binders, dividers, labels. I printed everything out in order, chronologically, from the very beginning of the affair to their last text 2 weeks ago. 14 binders in total. I gift-wrapped each one, addressed them with care. Recipients included my mom. My dad passed away 7 years ago, Jenna's parents, her 2 sisters, her brother, her HR department, because Travis works at the same company and their job has a no-dating policy, several mutual friends, Travis, and his parents. December 16th, I boxed everything up and hauled it all to the post office. Shipping date locked in, estimated delivery between December 22nd and 24th. Right in time for Christmas. Which brings us to Christmas Eve. Jenna came home at her usual time, totally unaware of whether I knew she'd seen Travis that week. I had stopped checking the app on the 18th. Didn't need it anymore. My job was done. By that point, I had everything I needed. That night, Jenna got home, showered, spent some time with me like everything was normal, and I wrapped up the evening on the couch. Yeah, I know, this wasn't exactly the nicest way to go about things. But I wasn't aiming for nice. I was aiming for final. The last phase of my plan had arrived. Middle of the night, I woke up, quietly grabbed one of the remaining binders, the one with the divorce papers taped to the inside cover, and gift-wrapped it. I left it on my side of the bed with a simple note taped to the top. Merry Christmas. Next to it, I placed my old phone and a business card for my lawyer. Then I packed 2 backpacks with the last of my essential things, took one final look around the house I'd lived in for 23 years, and walked out. I haven't been back since. That was 1 week ago. To Jenna, I'm a ghost. I've disappeared completely. Off the grid. Blocked her on Facebook, but strangely, she hasn't blocked me, so I've still been able to watch the fallout unfold. And let me tell you, it's been beautiful. Every single package I mailed got delivered right on time. Jenna's getting slammed from every direction. Her youngest sister absolutely tore into her. Her parents condemned her. My mom, who, trust me, has a vicious side when provoked, let her have it like I've never seen before. The stuff she said to Jenna? Let's just say it made me wince, and I'm the one she was defending. Jenna's been desperately trying to find out where I am, but no one's cracking. Everyone who knows where I am has zipped their lips shut. She's flailing on Facebook, trying to play the victim, putting up vague posts obviously aimed at me, probably hoping I'll reach out. But she'll only hear from me again when we're sitting across from each other in a lawyer's office. And even then, I won't say a damn thing without legal counsel present. There's no way for her to spin this to make herself look like the victim. Not anymore. I've exposed her to everyone that matters. According to a mutual friend who works with her, both Jenna and Travis are being placed on administrative leave tomorrow. Apparently, their company has a strict no dating within the chain of command policy, and because of their roles, that policy was clearly violated. So yeah, looks like Jenna's about to head into 2021 unemployed. As for the final 2 binders, one is with my lawyer as final evidence in the divorce proceedings. The other one? I placed in storage, set aside for Joey's backyard fire pit. The second the divorce is finalized, it's going up in smoke. Do I feel guilty? Not even close. For 23 years I did right by her. Gave her the life she said she wanted. Built her a home. Raised 2 amazing kids. Loved her fiercely, stayed loyal, never even considered stepping outside of our marriage. When things got tough, when our intimacy faded, or life got heavy, I didn't run. I didn't betray her. I sat her down, we talked, we worked through it. She didn't give me the same courtesy. Instead of telling me she was unhappy, instead of being honest about what she needed, she crawled into another man's bed behind my back. So no, I don't feel 1 ounce of remorse for the way I handled this. She made her bed, and now she can burn in it. Worst case scenario, I lose the house, a car, and maybe a little monthly alimony. But since I filed under infidelity, and I've got an overwhelming mountain of evidence, I may not even have to pay that. New York's at-fault divorce laws might actually work in my favor here. As far as I'm concerned, she's dead to me. I'm never looking back. After I first discovered her affair, I considered trying to fix things. Thought about counseling, working through it. But then I saw the messages. The arrogance. The way she carried on like I didn't even exist. That buried whatever shred of compassion I had left. When I told Tyler my plan all those months ago, I'd already decided on the scorched earth route. And to be honest, I didn't think I'd stick to it this long. I thought I might fold, cave, give in to the sadness. But the longer it went on, the more I saw her lies unravel, the more I enjoyed it. It became a game. And the prize? Watching her squirm. I'm not some inherently cruel person. I don't go out of my way to hurt others. But I do believe in consequences. I believe in holding people accountable. And Jenna? She chose herself over our family. Over our kids. Over me. She gets no mercy. The next few months will be rough. I'm not naive about that. The divorce process is going to be ugly. There'll be harsh words, nasty moves, maybe even more lies. But I'm not backing down. I'm going to see this through to the end, and I'm going to leave her with nothing. That's not revenge. That's justice. Christmas Day was my first full 24 hours in my new apartment. Still sparse, just the basics, but it's mine. And it's peaceful. A fresh start. Exactly what I need. Over the past week, I've started turning the apartment into something that actually feels like home. My sons, along with my oldest girlfriend, came over and spent most of Christmas Day with me. She brought desserts and cooked a fantastic meal, which gave me a much-needed moment of warmth. We had real conversations, honest, heartfelt talks that I hadn't shared with my boys in a long time. My sister even dropped by with more goodies and spent some quality time with us. It was the first time she'd seen her nephews in almost a year. Their presence grounded me. Honestly, if I'd spent the day alone, I probably would have drowned myself in whiskey. Everyone headed out around 8 that night, so I called up Joey and swung by his place for a bit. He and his wife, Claudia, poured me a couple of drinks, and we spent a few hours just hanging out like old times. Then came another twist. On December 29th, right around noon, I got a text from Naomi asking if I was free that evening. I said I was, and we agreed to meet up after work. We grabbed dinner at a local diner, 25% indoor capacity, masks, all that. That night, she laid it all out. Naomi told me she's had feelings for me since we were teens. She never acted on them because Jenna came into the picture. I've known Naomi longer than I've known Jenna, by 2 years. We were the misfits back in high school, the rave kids that never fit the mold. She dealt with her own struggles, weight issues, diabetes, but we always had a spark. Now, she's a certified personal trainer and yoga instructor. And yeah, she's absolutely stunning. But more than that, she's real. She's always been there, for every breakup, every crisis, every moment I needed a friend. Even when I didn't deserve one. That night, we decided to explore what we've always kept buried. Once my divorce is finalized, we're officially going to give us a shot. And yeah, we slept together that night. I don't feel an ounce of shame about it. Naomi has always been more of a friend to me than Jenna ever was. That's not to say Jenna wasn't close to me, but Naomi? She stepped back and supported my marriage even when it meant burying her own feelings. That kind of selflessness? That stays with you. To me, being with Naomi doesn't feel like a betrayal. It feels like something I've owed both of us for years. Now, fast forward to yesterday. January 6, 2021, the day I met Jenna and her lawyer to start the official divorce talks. I hadn't spoken a word to her since I walked out on Christmas Eve. On Monday, my attorney called to say her lawyer wanted to schedule a meeting. So, on Tuesday, I sat down with my lawyer and laid out my terms. I wanted an uncontested divorce, citing marital neglect. My offer? I'd sell my half of the house to her, we'd each keep our cars, I'd retain the cabin in the Poconos, and because the divorce was grounded in infidelity and neglect, she wouldn't receive spousal support. My youngest son, he's 17, would be free to choose where he wanted to live, and honestly, he's leaning towards staying with me. Wednesday, I showed up to the meeting dressed in my all-black, Johnny Cash best, ready to face whatever came. Jenna walked in looking like a mess. She kept it together inside the conference room, but barely. Her lawyer, rather boldly, presented terms for reconciliation, which I shut down immediately. We eventually agreed to legal separation leading into a no-contest divorce. The only change? I agreed to pay temporary spousal support, $1,653 a month, for utilities while she looks for a new job. She'd gotten fired for inappropriate behavior. Surprise, surprise. The payments are capped at a year after the divorce is finalized, which is a small price to pay for freedom. If all goes according to plan, I'll be legally free of her by April. Just 3 months from now. After the meeting, my lawyer gave me a few final notes, and said he'd keep me posted on the filing. Outside, Jenna caught up to me. She asked if we could talk, and I agreed. She held it together through the meeting, but the moment we stepped outside she broke. Tears. Apologies. She said she never meant for things to go this far. That she'd fallen for someone else but knew she'd made a mistake. That she regretted everything. That she wanted to start over with me in a few years. I told her this would be our last conversation. I reminded her that our youngest son is nearly grown and will make his own decisions. I told her I gave her half of my life. That I loved her unconditionally. And what did I get? A confession that she loved another man. Forgiveness? I told her that was something she would never get from me. And I meant it. I told her the truth. I said I still loved who she used to be, but I couldn't stand the woman standing in front of me now. I made it clear that even seeing her again felt like one time too many. There we were, standing on a midtown Manhattan sidewalk, her sobbing uncontrollably and drawing glances from passers-by. I didn't care anymore. I wasn't about to embarrass her further in public. I'd already done enough damage socially and professionally. But I had one last thing to say before I let go completely. I told her I didn't regret the 23 years I'd spent as her husband. What I regretted was that, during all those years, she chose to take the easy way out. I thought she was the one. Turns out, it was just my turn. I slipped in my rake-ins, turned my back to her, and walked away. That night, her dad called me. He apologized on her behalf. He thanked me for always being a good man to his daughter, and said how disappointed he was in her. I'll miss the old guy. He became like a second father to me after my own past years ago. But after everything, I just don't see myself staying connected to anyone on her side of the family. After the call, I hopped on Facebook and changed my relationship status to divorced. It's not legally final yet, but in my mind, it's over. That change got a lot of attention. Like I said, when I post, people notice. My inbox lit up with messages from friends and family asking what happened. I laid it all out, told them I filed for divorce from Jenna that day. Later that night, Naomi called, shocked at how quickly everything was happening. I asked her to come over, and she did. We talked for hours, well into the early morning. There's something about being around her that just calms me. She gets me. Since the night she opened up about her feelings, she's been on my mind constantly. Some people might think it's messed up that I've moved on so fast, but as far as I'm concerned, my marriage ended the day Jenna let another man touch her. So yeah, I'm moving forward. Naomi and I are going to take it slow. Nothing official or public until the divorce is finalized. But she and I both know what this is. We're on the same page. As for Jenna? She can do whatever she wants. She could move Travis into our old house for all I care. I'll be getting my money for the house in quarterly installments through 2021, and aside from the $1,653 I'm paying temporarily, I won't owe her a damn thing. She's got no way to reach me. Only a handful of people, my sons, my sister, my mom, and my tightest friends, have my new contact info. I blocked her on every platform. Ever since I walked out on Christmas Eve, I've made sure she can't find me. But some of our mutual friends still talk to her. Last night, I was at home when I got a messenger call from one of the few friends who hadn't cut Jenna off after everything. As soon as I picked up, she dropped the bomb. She had gone to check on Jenna and found her passed out in the bedroom, foaming at the mouth, with 2 empty pill bottles beside her. She's in the ICU now, critical but stable. The doctors say she'll probably survive, but she won't be the same. The friend begged me to come. Apparently Jenna had asked for me. Her parents and 2 of her sisters were already at the hospital, probably contacted after the staff tried calling me using the emergency contact info she still had, which is my old number. I told the friend no. Jenna isn't my responsibility anymore. She chose to blow up our marriage. She decided her pride was more important than owning her choices. And now she's trying to escape the shame the same way she escaped accountability, with a shortcut. I told the friend her family could sort it out. As far as I'm concerned, there is no Jenna and me anymore. Then I hung up. I've had some time to think about it since. My sons called me this morning. They'd heard, of course, and wanted to know if I knew what happened. I told them I did. And I also told them that if they wanted to support their mom, I wouldn't judge them or stand in the way. She's still their mother, and I won't take that from them. But me? I'm done. I've washed my hands of her, emotionally and otherwise. What she does or doesn't do with her life is no longer any concern of mine. They were surprised, maybe even a little shaken. But they understood. They respected my position. Now that the news of her suicide attempt has spread, a lot of old friends, who had distanced themselves from her, are suddenly reappearing, urging me to forgive, to go see her, to show compassion. Even Travis tried to visit her this morning, but he wasn't allowed in. He's not family. Everyone's pushing me to show up. To play the good guy one last time. But I'm not that guy anymore. Not for her. I don't hate her. I don't even feel anger now. I just feel nothing. I mentally checked out somewhere along the way while I was setting everything up to expose her betrayal. And even now, I stand by every move I made. I truly don't care what happens to her. If anything, the way things have played out just deepens my resentment. She's the one who cheated. She's the one who thought a nearly year-long fling with some guy barely 5 years older than our oldest son was worth throwing away over 2 decades of marriage. And now, even with the consequences catching up to her, she chooses the most selfish way imaginable to deal with it. Now that she's likely to survive her attempt, she's managed to flip the narrative. People who were ready to condemn her just weeks ago are suddenly rushing to her side with sympathy. Meanwhile, I'm being painted as the bitter ex-husband who's too cold-hearted to show compassion. Her dad, at least, reached out again and told me he still respects my decision to stay away. He's the only one who seems to understand. It's crazy how after 23 years with someone, I feel like I never really knew who she was. Look, I get that the way I ended things might have played a part in her mental collapse. But let's not act like this is just about me. This woman either completely broke down or pulled a calculated stunt to win back favor from the people who turned their backs on her after the truth came out. Let me be clear, I am not going to visit Jenna. She gave up the right to have me care when she let another man into our bed, even if it wasn't literally the same mattress. Maybe I sound heartless, but I'm just being honest. I'm still hurting. It's raw. And I haven't cared about her for a long, long time. If you were in my shoes, maybe you'd see it differently. Sure, I played mind games. I let her think I was cheating, strung her along emotionally, even destroyed her social and professional life before walking away. Maybe that makes me a sociopath. But like Arthur Fleck said, you get what you ****ing deserve. I gave that woman half my life. I poured everything into being the best husband I could be. And according to her own words, I didn't do anything to push her into someone else's arms. She did it because she wanted to. For her own selfish reasons. So yeah, I'm glad she's gone from my life. If that makes me the villain, so be it. She chose to betray me. Now I'm choosing myself. If that means she suffers, then that's the price of her decisions. Let the people who still give a damn pick up the pieces. As far as I'm concerned, my obligation to care ended the moment we signed that separation agreement. I just needed to get this all off my chest. And if anyone wants to judge me for how I feel, don't bother. Save your breath. Because after 23 years and 2 kids, I've realized I never truly knew the woman I married. I won't pity her. I won't comfort her. I won't forgive her. Let her rot. Jenna's dad let me know she was moved from the ICU into the mental health unit. Her doctors are still monitoring her condition. She's awake, coherent, but still clearly exhausted and emotionally wrecked. He also said she asked if I'd come see her. He told her I hadn't, and she just shut down completely after that. He said he'd only share further updates if I reached out first. He knows where my head's at. I did, however, make a move I didn't expect. I set up counseling for our youngest, 17. His first appointment is this coming Monday. He's been through enough. And today, despite everything I've said, I visited Jenna. Naomi convinced me. She said that maybe, seeing Jenna in her broken state might help me let go of some of the bitterness. She wasn't defending Jenna, she just wanted to help me heal. So around 6 p.m., I called Jenna, for the first time since dropping the papers on her bed. Her voice, it wasn't the same. Weak, shaky, hoarse? The kind of voice you'd hear from someone barely hanging on. When she realized it was me, she broke down in tears. Took her nearly 3 minutes just to stop crying long enough to speak. Before she could say anything, I told her I was coming by around 8 o'clock. She agreed. The drive from Co-op City to the house we used to share is just under 90 minutes. I grabbed a slice from my usual pizza spot, then made the drive. I pulled into the driveway around 7:47, and she was already at the door waiting. As I got closer, I saw it, what her actions had done to her. She looked awful. Noticeably thinner, but not in a healthy way. Her face hollow, her eyes empty. Like something out of The Walking Dead. First thing she did was try to hug me. I stopped her. Cold. She got the message. I wasn't there to comfort her, and she backed off immediately. We went inside and sat in the living room. Almost right away, Jenna said she needed to come clean about everything. She told me she couldn't live with the guilt, not for what she did to me, and not for what she did to our sons. She said the moment we signed the separation papers, she spiraled into a pit of guilt and despair that eventually led to her suicide attempt. The friend who had called me from the hospital had apparently picked up on Jenna's behavior and had been checking in on her. According to the doctors, if she hadn't been found when she would have died. Jenna admitted she failed me as a wife. She said falling for Travis was a mistake, and even worse was her decision not to stop things when she knew she was getting in too deep. She apologized for all the private things she shared with him, about our sex life, about me. She said she never thought she'd be capable of talking about me like that to another man, but she was. In her head, she believed she was doing the right thing. But when she thought I was cheating, that realization crushed her. The betrayal she imagined from me was enough to make her panic, so she tried to end everything. Too late for regret, though. She asked me when I stopped caring. I told her, the night she confronted me about cheating, knowing full well she'd already been sleeping with Travis for months. That's when I lost every ounce of respect I had for her. That's when I fully committed to my plan. Then she told me something that caught me off guard. She said that on Christmas morning, when she woke up and saw the gift I left on my side of the bed, she was thrilled, until she opened it. Realizing what it really was, and how much I'd known the whole time, she lost it. She said she hasn't even set foot in our bedroom since. She said she started asking around online if anyone knew where I was, and she was hit with a tidal wave of backlash from friends and family. She had no clue how everyone knew so fast. That's when I told her about the binders. The look on her face was something I won't forget. You could see the gears turning in her head as it all clicked. The messages from family, friends cutting her off, getting suspended from work, the total collapse of her social circle. All of it was me. She went completely silent after that. I got up and used the bathroom. It was a wreck, mirrors shattered, skincare stuff thrown everywhere, tub filthy like no one had touched it since the hospital. When I came back, she was hunched over, face in her hands, crying. And you know what? I felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. No pity. Just nothing. They say the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And looking at her right then, that's all I felt. She looked up at me through her tears and said, I messed everything up. I ruined us. I don't know what to do. I can't do this alone. I told her she's not alone. She's got her family. She's got the friend who saved her life. And she's still got our sons. But she doesn't have me. And she never will again. I explained that I came there for closure. That after what she just put herself through, I needed to see it with my own eyes, to be done with it all. But once I walked out that door, I wouldn't be looking back. She brought up Travis after that, said he reached out 2 days ago. They talked for a couple hours, and in the end, she told him to move on. Find someone younger. Forget she ever existed. We wrapped things up after that. She apologized again, for the betrayal, for everything, and asked if this really was the end. I looked her straight in the eyes and said yes. That it had been over long before she even found those divorce papers on Christmas morning. I knew it was time to go. No more words needed. I left her sitting there on the couch, shut the door behind me, got in my car, and drove home. I needed to get this all out while it's still fresh in my head. The story of Jenna is over. My youngest and I are both scheduled to continue counseling. Naomi and I are doing well, still keeping things quiet until the divorce is finalized. I'm staying busy, staying focused, and for the first time in years, I'm looking forward to the future. To being loved the way I've always deserved. It's been just over 2 months since I handed Jenna those divorce papers, and a full month since my last update. A lot of folks have asked how my youngest, 17, is doing. Shortly after the last update, he started going to individual therapy. I took him to his first couple of sessions, but now he goes on his own, twice a week. And honestly, it's helping. He's holding it together, but I can tell, he's scarred. Between what his first girlfriend did to him just months ago and everything that's come out about his mom, his trust in relationships has been shattered. He puts on a brave face, but I can see the cracks. It might take years, maybe decades, for him to fully recover. But he's trying. And that's what matters. I found out that my son's experience with his ex was even worse than he initially let on. Turns out, he actually caught her making out with a guy he thought was his friend. That so-called friend had only been cozying up to him to get closer to her. He never told me that part before, and it just broke my heart. To go through something that raw and painful at such a key point in his life, man, it gutted me. You try your best to protect your kids from the world, but life doesn't always let you. He's decided to stick with individual counseling for the long haul, and I told him the door is always open, that he can talk to me about anything, no judgment, no limits. Now on to my own therapy. If you've followed most of my entries, you probably know I've got a bit of an anger problem. It's strange because I've always been the reserved, calm, stoic type. But all of this, everything that happened, woke up something inside me. Like a dragon made of pure rage. I laid everything out for my therapist. And I mean everything. When I told him what I'd done to Jenna, he looked both impressed and a little horrified, not the reaction I was expecting. Apparently, when pushed to the edge, I show signs of sociopathic behavior. That didn't exactly shock me, considering what I pulled off. My sessions aren't overly emotional. They're more about sorting through the wreckage, organizing my thoughts, and trying to find balance after the absolute implosion of my marriage. And then there's Naomi. Honestly, I don't know where I'd be without her. She's been this incredible, steady presence in my life. I never imagined finding someone so nurturing, so genuinely kind, after everything I've been through. We're still going strong. Even though we tried to keep our relationship low-key, it's no secret within our circle anymore. She just gets me. She always has since we were kids. Naomi knows what it's like to be cheated on. She's lived it too. So she does everything she can to help me process my feelings, and she's been patient and present every step of the way. Right now, we're splitting time between her place and mine. We've talked about moving in together, but her 5-year-old makes that tricky. My studio isn't big enough for 3, and I'm locked into my lease until 2022 anyway. So for now, we keep things flexible. When her daughter's with her dad, Naomi stays with me. When her daughter's home, I go to their place. Speaking of her daughter, she's a sweetheart. She's really taken to me, and honestly, I adore the kid. It's hard to put into words how much Naomi has meant to me through all this. If you've listened to the earlier parts of my story, you know she's been in love with me since we were sophomores in high school. Back then, she didn't think she had a shot. I guess she thought of herself as the ugly duckling. She watched me chase after and eventually marry Jenna, all while carrying that secret for over 25 years. She finally told me how she felt just a week after my divorce hearing. We met for dinner, and she laid it all out there. And now, I consider myself the luckiest guy alive to have her in my life. We've talked a lot about the future. After what we've both been through, either of us is looking to get married again. But we've kicked around the idea of a civil union someday. Nothing's set in stone yet, but we both agree, this is it for us. As for Jenna? There's nothing to say. Since that final conversation after her suicide attempt, I've gone full no contact. I don't know how she's doing, and I don't want to know. As far as I'm concerned, she doesn't exist in my world anymore. That's the latest. Life moves on. It's March 2nd as I'm writing this, so I've got one more month until everything's finalized. Just 30 more days until I'm officially a free man. I can't wait to close this chapter and move forward into the life I've been rebuilding from the ground up. One quick correction. I realized I misspoke in a previous post. I said I was clinically diagnosed as a sociopath. That's not accurate. What my therapist actually said was that I show sociopathic tendencies when provoked. It wasn't a formal diagnosis, just an observation. Also, for the record, my older son Al, who's 22, doesn't actually plan to go after Travis. His comments were made in a moment of anger. Nothing more. Just 1 month ago, Jenna officially became my ex-wife. Initially, my lawyer said the divorce would be finalized on the 18th, but thanks to things reopening in New York and court dates shifting, it got pushed through a little early. On April 12th, Jeff, my lawyer, gave me the call I'd been waiting for. I went to see Jeff the next day. When I walked into his office, he handed me the final divorce papers and reached out for a handshake, but I couldn't leave it at that. I pulled him in for a hug and thanked him for everything he'd done for me. On the drive home, my mind kept running a reel of the last 24 years, flashes of memories, a whole lifetime I'd built and lived. As soon as I stepped into my apartment, it hit me all at once. I collapsed on the floor and just broke down. I hadn't cried like that in years. But it wasn't sadness, not at all. It was release. It was freedom. It was like my soul had finally crawled out of the darkest pit and could breathe again. That night, I called my older son. I kept it brief, just told him it was official, that his mom and I were no longer married. He asked how I was doing, and I know he could tell I'd been crying, but I told him I was okay. Then I talked to my younger son, and we ended up on the phone for almost an hour and a half. He's still living with his older brother and his fiancée, and he's sticking with therapy. I won't get into the details of our chat, but let's just say there's still a long road ahead for him, especially when it comes to rebuilding trust. Later that evening, Naomi came over, like she always does. I shared the news with her, and she wrapped her arms around me while I cried for the second time that day. Once I pulled myself together, she looked me in the eyes and told me she would never betray me, that she loved me with everything she had. And I believed her. Looking back, I don't regret the life I built with Jenna. She gave me 2 amazing sons, and for that, I'll always be grateful. But it's painfully clear now, I chose the wrong person to build that life with. Naomi has given me so much over these past few months, asking for nothing in return except my presence. She's my rock. My hero. After the divorce was finalized, some other wild stuff happened. Believe it or not, Travis actually reached out to me. Yeah, him. He sent me a message, started off with an apology, trying to own up to the chaos he helped cause. He told me that after his mom got the binder I sent, she completely cut him off. She's a hardcore Catholic who goes to church 3 times a week, and she was livid when she found out what he did. She kicked him out on the spot. Within a week, his job let him go too, once the binder made its way to his employer. Now, he's couch surfing, unemployed, and trying to scrape his life back together. He said he wanted to reach out to me sooner, but he was scared. Said if I found him once, I could find him again. And he wasn't wrong. I could have buried him further if I wanted, but I didn't. I asked him when he last talked to Jenna. He said it had been months, and the last time they spoke, she told him to move on and forget she ever existed. That lined up with what she told me, so I believed it. We talked for about 20 minutes. I didn't say much, just asked questions, and he answered. Then he apologized again, and that's when I told him. You're 27 years old, and you've got to live with the fact that your own mother hates you for blowing up a marriage older than you are. You messaged me because karma's eating at you, but you're not getting closure from me. When I was your age, I was building a life. You're homeless, jobless, and branded a homewrecker. If you're smart, you'll take this as a wake-up call. If not, you'll keep spiraling until you're my age, if you make it that far. I'd wish you luck, but luck isn't your problem. You need to get your SH*T together. Then I blocked him. That wasn't the closure he wanted, I'm sure. But I wasn't cruel about it. I said what needed to be said, and I hope it sticks with him. Now, here's the biggest news. As of May 4th, 2021, Naomi is officially my wife. Over the past couple of months, we had some deep conversations about where we were headed. Naomi made it clear, she didn't want anyone else but me. She wanted to be my wife, and she asked me to adopt her daughter, Anna. Anna just turned 6, and she means the world to me. I'm the first real father figure she's had since her bio dad walked out when she was 4. Naomi was careful about who she brought into her daughter's life. She didn't want just anyone around. Only someone with staying power. And now, that someone is me. Given my experience raising kids, stepping into a father role again just made sense. Anna and my youngest, who's now 18, have formed a bond that's almost like they've always been siblings. He's fiercely protective of her, and my therapist sees it as a really positive sign. Despite everything he's been through, he sees her innocence and wants to shield it. So last Monday, Naomi and I went to City Hall and tied the knot. It took just 24 hours to get the marriage license. Honestly, the whole thing was pretty uneventful. Oz joked, like nobody saw this coming. And my sister started placing bets on when we'd be announcing a baby next. We thought we were being discreet with our relationship, but turns out everyone had already figured it out. Naomi's love for me is overwhelming, in the best way. Lying in my arms, she told me how happy she is and how deeply she's loved me over the past 25 years. Even during my marriage to Sue, Naomi admitted she sometimes fantasized about what life could have been like if we'd ended up together. And yet, she never acted on it. Over the years, she's given me everything and asked for nothing. Not even the woman I married and raised 2 children with ever showed me the kind of love Naomi has. So of course, it only made sense to give her my name. And now she has it. We're in the early stages of paperwork to make Anna legally my daughter too. And I can't wait for that to be official. As for Sue, I haven't seen or spoken to her since that last visit to our old house, nearly 4 months ago. A couple of mutual friends, what's left of them, still occasionally pass along updates. One of them, a real estate agent, told me she sold the house and now works as a clerical assistant at his firm. He waived the support payments I was making during her unemployment, and even helped her find a small apartment near his office. She's functional, I guess, but she's just a shadow of who she used to be. She's gained a little weight, keeps to herself, and avoids social events, especially ones involving coworkers. Probably trying to avoid repeating the same mistakes. The last I heard about her was at the end of March. I thanked my friend for keeping me in the loop, but told him I didn't need any more updates. She's not my concern anymore. My youngest will be an adult soon, and I've got no reason to ever deal with her again. I won't. And that wraps up my whole journey: betrayal, revenge, her breakdown, and my own path back to peace. I'm done sharing. I'm heading back into the metaphorical swamp to live quietly with my new frog queen and her adorable little tadpole. December 24th marked the 2-year anniversary of the night I handed Sue the divorce papers and walked out for good. It blows my mind how far I've come since then. I shouldn't even still be standing with everything I went through, but I am. 2 things kept me going. First, my youngest son needed to see what it looked like to stand up for yourself. He had just gone through the pain of being cheated on by his first girlfriend. Then he found out his own mom had betrayed me the same way. I needed to show him that you don't let someone walk all over you or twist the truth. Second, there's Naomi. She's been in my life longer than Sue ever was. She loved me silently from the sidelines for decades and finally told me the truth when I needed it most. We've been together ever since. Now we live together under a civil union. We get all the benefits of being married without the mess. If things ever changed, which I don't think they will, we could walk away with no lawyers or drama. But I don't see that happening. Naomi was also married once, and she has Anna, her 6-year-old daughter. We both agreed we'd never do marriage again, which is why we went the civil union route. Our kids? They're thick as thieves. My sons have both said how much they love having a little sister now, and Anna fits that role perfectly. Watching her and my youngest together, the way he looks after her, it fills me with a kind of joy I didn't know I was still capable of feeling. There was a time when I thought my life was over. Now, it feels like it's just beginning. I'll admit, after everything, one of my biggest concerns was how my youngest, now 18, would handle it all. I feared he might shut down completely. But with therapy and our long talks, he's made an incredible turnaround. He's still shy around girls his age, understandably so, but I'm not pushing him. He'll get there when he's ready. Healing takes time, and he's doing the work. As for my older son, 23 now, he and his fiancée tied the knot this August. It was an absolutely beautiful wedding. Her parents covered most of the expenses despite my offers to contribute. Her father and I have become close, and he made it clear that they wanted to do this for their daughter, and for the man who raised her future husband right, even in the face of everything. Yes, Sue was at the wedding. My older son has chosen to re-establish some contact with her, while 18 still hasn't spoken to her since the whole storm began. That's his choice. I won't force him to reconnect until he's ready, if ever. We made sure the seating arrangements kept Sue and me far apart. I only caught a brief glimpse of her during the event. The woman I saw wasn't the woman I married. She looked frail, emotionally gutted, like a shell of her former self. Part of me expected to feel something, maybe pity. But when I looked at her, I felt nothing. Not love. Not anger. Not hate. Just nothing. Naomi, always attuned to my mood, grabbed my arm and asked if I was okay. I smiled and told her I was. This day wasn't about the past. It was about my son stepping into his future, becoming a husband. And nothing was going to ruin that. Then came the news that just about made my year. During Thanksgiving at their place, his wife is a phenomenal chef and lives for family gatherings, they dropped the bomb: I'm going to be a grandfather. She was about 3 months pregnant at the time. After dinner, my son and I stepped outside for cigars. It was our first real man-to-man since all the dust settled. He admitted he was nervous. Said he didn't know what he'd do if something like what happened to me ever happened to him. I told him, "You can't force someone to be loyal. You can only control yourself, how you act, how you react. That's what defines you. Soft times make you happy. Hard times make you aware." He nodded like he really took that to heart. I don't think he has to worry, though. His wife is rock solid. She stood by him through everything, and I admire her deeply for helping him stay grounded and focused. She's what I'd call a good woman, the kind every man deserves. The gender reveal is next month. I'm secretly hoping it's a girl. Back on the home front, Naomi and I have started the conversation about me adopting her daughter officially. Right now, Anna carries her biological father's last name, but Naomi wants that to change. He's been absent since Anna was 1, and there hasn't been a peep from him since. He's probably back in Albania, where he's originally from, if he's even alive. We're not rushing it. Nothing's set in stone yet, but the intention is there. Naomi doesn't want her daughter to carry the name of a ghost who walked out. She wants her to carry the name of the man who shows up every day. So that's where life stands today. I take each day as it comes, working hard, loving harder, and cherishing every second I get with the woman who never stopped loving me from the shadows, and the little girl who's given me a reason to believe in innocence again. If you're still in the thick of it, stuck in the pain of betrayal, wondering if there's ever a way out, there is. It ends. It heals. You don't have to stay in the darkness. You matter to someone. Probably to more people than you know. Don't carry the burden alone. Talk. Cry. Lean on the people who love you. Rebuilding your life after infidelity is not something you can, or should, do solo. As for the one who betrayed you, expose the truth. Protect your heart and your future. Document everything. Have a plan. Make sure they can't twist the story to make you the villain. Don't fall for the gaslighting, the shifting blame, the crocodile tears. And most importantly, trust your instincts. If your gut says something's off, you owe it to yourself to find out. Don't ignore the red flags just because your glasses are tinted rose. When they are, you won't see the danger until it's too late. But it's never too late to take your power back. It's your story now. Write a better ending.